Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms. I am joined here by superfan Heath Goldman, as well as
Hooray!
Jake Circus from the Jake Circus podcast. And this is the Week 18 preview show. Who day? Yeah. And obviously, we didn't put up a recap because there wasn't anything to recap, and I didn't want to seem like we were capitalizing on what was going on to try and get views because we had no more information than anybody else. We were all watching TV and wondering what was going on. So, but we'll obviously spend more time recapping what's transpired over the last week. The latest news is that the competition committee is actually meeting. They started at 3 o'clock. We started recording at 4 o'clock, so that was 6 o'clock Eastern time. But they've been meeting for over an hour now. We don't have a result, but they were voting on whether to just make this a no contest, which would give the Bengals the AFC North. That would be that simple. Would have liked to have won it. I think we would have won it from what I saw on Monday night. When the Bengals came out looking sharp. Hurst was playing with energy. I mean, the crowd was there. This looked like our moment on national TV. And then unfortunately, we had a cardiac arrest on the field. And we all know what happened from there. So I would have liked to win the North that way. General comments from you guys. Go for it.
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been quiet on Twitter and stuff about my thoughts because it was like something we've never seen before. And as someone who's been a diehard sports fan since I was 4 years old, I was kind of shook. But overall, we're all blessed to have constantly been hearing better news as the days have gone on, and in the future, can move past this, and hopefully Damar can make a full recovery. And look, a decision's going to be made about the season and how we're going to finish it, and who's going to host the most important games of the season. And us as a Bengals show, or it's our job to talk about it, and that's what we're going to do today. And this news is going to come out probably in the next couple hours. I would assume we'll know the future of this season and the playoffs before everyone goes to bed tonight. That's my guess. Maybe even by the time the show is posted, because that's kind of what it seems like. They're probably still meeting right now. But so Damar woke up, and he's doing much better and still in critical condition, but seems like he's doing much better than what it seemed like late Monday night.
Yeah, well, he's conscious. The first question he asked was, did they win the game Monday? That was the first thing he asked when he actually spoke. So tells you where his priorities were. He's told his team he wants them to play this weekend. He wants them to go out. So they have a huge burden lifted off their shoulders. If they were feeling bad, they can now go out there and do it for Damar. So, but obviously his health was the top concern. I mean, that's a human being. That's a life and death issue. That I think that was the most scary. Was they weren't out there looking at even as gruesome as an injury of Theismann was, they weren't administering CPR to the guy. I mean, this was life and death. They had to start the guy's heart again. So go ahead.
If there's any silver lining that came out of this, $6 billion right now of gifts are going to go to children in need. And you know what? That's a pretty amazing stat when he was trying to raise 2,500 originally. So sometimes, like Mark said, sometimes you're going to make lemonade out of lemons, and it sucks. But, we are talking about a real life, and this is uncharted territory. I mean, we've had horrible injuries, people paralyzed, people never to play again. But we've never seen this. So I hope we never see it again. But I was really excited. I had gone to the Rose Bowl with Riley, and we came home and were, plugged in on the television, had it ready to start, and started a few minutes late, and, see that drive and see the defense hold, and then obviously we know what happened. So
yeah,
you know what? I'm glad we got the news that we're getting today, that that he is awake and alert and moving in the right direction. So I don't know what's going to happen, but at the end of the day, I think we deserve a chance to win it on the field, and we'll see if that can take place.
Yeah, it's a bummer because I don't think we're going to have a shot at the 1 seed, regardless the way the decision is going to come out. We're not going to be in play for that, and we were in play for that. If we had won Monday, we would have had the tiebreaker against the Bills, and then if the Chiefs had lost Saturday, which you saw Stidham play against the Niners, it's in Vegas. There's a chance that Raiders win that game, and if we had won, we would have been the 1 seed. So. And we would have made a statement for Burrow on MVP if he had beat Mahomes and Josh Allen on the national stage. I think that would have made a case for Zach Taylor's Coach of the Year. I think that would have made a case for Burrow. So those are definite setbacks, on a football basis. But it is what it is. And I just don't. If they cancel the game, there's no way the Bengals have a shot at the 1 seed. If they make it a no contest. So that's kind of where we're at. We talked about some of the good things that came out of this. Also T. Higgins charity got a lot of love. But there's also the bad things was like the stupid ass Bart Scott shooting his mouth off, blaming T. Higgins on First Take that morning. I mean, that was absolutely over the top insane, insinuating that T had anything to do with it. This was a freak cardiac arrest on the field. It was on a football
play happens a million times since we've all been watching football, that same exact play. And you know what? He knows it. Damar knows it as well as anybody, unfortunately. So, we got to put that aside, but that doesn't make it any easier because, T's in the age of social media, T's sitting there listening to this crap and, it can take its toll on you.
Well, and this isn't just idiots tweeting you. This is an analyst sitting on ESPN. I tweeted out one of the few tweets I did this week because I tried to, like Jake, I tried to stay away from it and just kind of let the situation develop. But I tweeted out, I said, you know what? A lowering tide lowers all boats. Bart Scott actually demeans all the quality people after Ryan Clark and Scott Van Pelt and all these people showed absolute concern and class in the way they covered it, and then he shoots his mouth off. It was just like, you demean everybody around you. Like I said, a lowering tide lowers all boats, and that was my feeling in terms of that. He needs to be fired. That guy, I don't even know why that guy has a job.
Being a it's a two-way street when it comes to being a professional. Number one is if you get paid, you make a living off of doing something, you're technically a professional at it. And the other part about being a professional is actually being a decent human being and, respectful and being a pro. Pro's pro. It's a common phrase used. Bart Scott does this professionally. He goes on every single day at this network that for some reason employs a bunch of bozos. There is a lot of talented people at ESPN, but I don't know how some of these people are on TV every day and just spew this nonsense. But yeah, Bart Scott said this about T. Higgins, basically blaming him, and a lot of us got emotional about it.
Wait, Jake froze. A lot of us got emotional about it. So when he comes back, we're gonna remind him so he can finish the sentence exactly where he left off. There you go. Okay, a lot of people got emotional about it. Okay. That was the last thing we heard.
I didn't. I stopped. I didn't say anything else. But once it all settled in, and Damar went to the hospital, the game, everyone in the stadium was over. All the Bengals fans started talking about T. And okay, what is this going to happen? What's going to happen with T. Higgins? How do we, as a fan base who we love this guy, this is our guy, make sure he's okay? And we woke up Tuesday morning to see this from a professional analyst was absolutely disgusting. And us as a fan base, our number one job should be to not give that attention. And I succumbed to that. And I tweeted the tweet and went after Bart Scott. And I think I got like 200,000 views. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I later deleted it because we don't need that. Like, we don't need to be giving him that type of attention because that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing this for. And to keep posting things and giving it attention for T to see that is completely in the wrong. And that's why I deleted that tweet. But yeah, I mean, we love T. That's our guy. And I can only imagine what must have been going through his head and still is going through his head over the last 72 hours or so.
Well, he actually spoke to Damar's mother today, and she basically kind of put him and said, yeah, no, you had nothing to do with this. And then Josh Allen in his presser said, T had absolutely nothing. This was just a football play. And then you had people like other because Bart Scott was saying, oh, this is something that they need to start protecting the defense. He made this like was a safety issue for defensive players. Micah Parsons chimed in and said, you're an idiot. Just shut up. So I think he got it from a lot of places. But shout out to Bills Mafia, who immediately stepped up. First of all, we've seen countless posts about how classy the Bengal fans were, hugging Bills fans after the games. We saw the players on the field. And when Bart Scott did that, Bills Mafia made a push to start supporting T's foundation. So, and there was an onslaught. I mean, obviously it wasn't to the scale of Damar, but there was love coming from Bills Mafia. These two fan bases, neither one has a Super Bowl win. The Bills have lost all their appearances. We've lost our 3 appearances. Between the two teams, they're 0-7 in the Super Bowl. I mean, there's a lot of, and we're both, AFL teams, original AFL teams. So, there's a lot of similarities. And we're both small market teams. So it's not like our competition with division rivals. There's a lot of love between the two fan bases. It's not that hate. So shout out to Bills Mafia for what they've done in the recognition. Zach Taylor is another one we want to give a shout out to. He's been a class act from the beginning. From what I've read, he and Sean McDermott and this is me extrapolating what I've read and seen, but they kind of forced the NFL's hand. The NFL said, hey, we're get 5 minutes of warm up. We're going to play. And those two went out on the field. And from what I understand, they both said, no, our players are not playing the rest of this game. No one wants that. And they sent the teams into the locker room, kind of forcing the NFL's hand when nobody was on the field. And so, kudos to both of them and to Zach Taylor, who went to the hospital the following morning and basically told the family, if you need anything, reach out. So I'm just, like I said, class all the way around, from our Bengals fans to our team, to our staff, to our coaching staff.
And also kudos to the people on the field who very well could have saved this kid's life. If they had waited too much longer to do the things that they did to resuscitate him, we could be having a very different story being told.
Yeah.
And, kudos to the first responders and the support staff on the field.
The fact that it happened where it happened, if he had his cardiac arrest after the game in the hallway of the locker room, or let's say he's out of the stadium, he doesn't have an ambulance on standby, doctors and trainers right there. I mean, the fact that it happened right there probably saved his life. So, it's that there wouldn't have been somebody there to perform CPR immediately and restart his heart. So, he had the best medical attention immediately. I know Zach and I think Sean McDermott both complimented Bills trainers, Bengals trainers, Bills doctors, Bengals doctors, and the first responders for basically saving this kid's life. So
it didn't hurt that the UC Medical Center is very close to the stadium as well in a small town. So
yeah. So
Mark, you made a comment earlier before we started recording that you would treat this as as kind of a bye week and everything else. Jake had some different opinions on that. Well, I'd like to debate that for a minute.
All right. Well, my feeling was we don't know what the competition committee is coming out with. So my feeling is, don't play the starters the whole game if there's no way we can advance out of the 3. Don't risk. We don't want to lose another lineman. Have another La'el Collins. That can happen on any play. If there's no chance for us, if there's a chance for us to get to the 2, because that gets us an additional home game. And that's what I'm thinking the competition committee is going to come up with, a way that this game matters, where like if the Bills lost or the Chiefs lost and we won, that we could get up to the 2 spot. So Bills win, Chiefs lose, we win, we would have a better winning percentage than the Chiefs. Something where there's a scenario where we get something out of it. If we have nothing to get out of it, then our starters play half and that's it. And that's my feeling. But Jake, what do you got?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think the NFL needs the Bengals to beat Baltimore, because then it makes Chargers Broncos actually interesting. But that's a different story. I just think basically it's this: is if you rest your starters, you're going into a playoff game against either a division rival or Justin Herbert, and your starters haven't played a full game in 3 weeks. And I think that's a big deal, but I'm not going to speculate. We don't have enough information right now. I just think that's kind of a big deal to maybe even put them at a disadvantage out of the gate. We've seen this team start slow way too many times in the past. And during this winning streak, that's something that they haven't done, except really for in the Tampa game. But during this winning streak, that's something they really haven't done. And we talked last week, or maybe that was 2 weeks ago, about the history of teams with long winning streaks going into the postseason. Bengals, obviously, with the no contest, still have that 7-game winning streak. But you don't want to purposely lose games. You don't want to purposely give your guys too much rest, because
Right.
we've seen really, really hot teams with a bye week, in the past, like teams who ended the year on huge winning streaks, but had that bye week when they're super, super hot, then falter and lose before they even win a playoff game at home too. They falter and lose at home. And one of the reasons why I think we haven't seen a team with a super long winning streak lose early in the past is, well, first of all, last year, this new bye week. And I think that's a big deal, because I think taking away that bye and, continuing the hot play going into the postseason is how you really keep the rust off and make sure you're playing your best football when it matters most.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Jake. With the no contest, our winning streak is intact. But I go back to, because I'm the one that brought it up a couple weeks ago about having this real long winning streak. I mean, it'd be, if we had played the Bills game, obviously, and won the Super Bowl, God willing, it's 14 wins in a row or something like that. I guess
it would be 12. 12 if they win the Super Bowl, 12 in a row.
I guess I'm wondering, do I still get, we didn't win that game, but we didn't lose that game. So does that help the numbers? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not even asking for a response. I'm just being a smart ass.
Well, I think the team that came to mind when you brought that up about teams losing in the first round after the bye week, the team that came to mind immediately for me was the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, they ran the table, and then Mike Vanderjagt missed the kick, and I'll never forget Peyton Manning, because he didn't really like Vanderjagt. He shot his mouth off a lot for a kicker, and he basically said he missed it and gave him a scowl and walked away. But there was a team when the Indianapolis Colts got to the Super Bowl, they were not the 1 seed. They had to play all the way through. So the year they were the 1 seed, Vanderjagt missed the kick in the first game for them. So
yeah, you mentioned the potential of the 12-game winning streak, and that Colts team ended the year 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on a 9-game winning streak, went all the way to the Super Bowl, and then so 10, 11. Wait, no, they didn't. The next year, hang on. Sorry. They lost the Chargers. Yeah, with the kick, the kick, they lost the Chargers. Not like brain fart there, but 12-game winning streak. There's only been 2 times that a team has ever had a 12-game winning streak in the same season. So it's just an incredibly difficult thing to accomplish in a single season. And Bengals they don't want to be on the wrong side of history, but at the same time, you don't want to try to lose a game and, bench your starters just because of some, small sample size history. But it's something to look at. It's something interesting. And I think it was interesting bringing it up a couple of weeks ago on the show, because, Bengals, that would be the longest streak in franchise history. I think 10 or 11, something like that. They started 9-0. So
right.
10 wins. So 2 more wins would be 3 more wins would be the longest streak in franchise history. So if they get to the conference championship this year, which I think they will, that'd be the longest winning streak in franchise history.
That's, so let's talk about the Dirty Birds here. You think the fan base is going to revolt or be upset because if they make this a no contest, we win the North. It's that simple. Even if Baltimore won this week, we would have 1 less loss. Both teams with 11 wins, and we don't have 5 losses because we played 1 less game. So, that's handing us the North. But, like I said, it's head-to-head doesn't enter into it now. It wouldn't matter. So
it's as we said, we started the show off. It's just an interesting predicament that no one really wanted to have. That committee sitting there trying to figure this out. It's like, well, how do we screw the Bengals? How do we screw the Bills? How do we not screw anybody? And I'm sure they're trying to figure out not to intentionally screw us, but that's the thing that they're trying to figure out, is how to try to make this thing as fair as possible. And
yeah,
I got to tell you, it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with.
Yeah, well, the Bills came into this
That was
game.
a huge game.
The Bills came into Monday night with the 1 seed. They win and they stayed 1. They lose and the Chiefs took over 1 with a week to play. So if they make it a no contest, they're taking the 1 seed away from the Bills.
We have not had any conversations about this for obvious reasons. Damar's health was the most important thing.
Yes.
The last play of that game, of the scoring drive for Buffalo, Josh Allen got rolled up on, and that knee hyperextended the wrong way. It'd be interesting. No one said a word about that because he obviously didn't have to come back out and play. But, Hendrickson got rolled up.
Right.
Got rolled up and then rolled up into Josh, obviously unintentional.
Well, he was pushed and then
Scott, I'm sure that was an intentional act too. But it's interesting. We'll see what happens because they've got to play this weekend.
Yeah. Well, and they got to play a team that needs the game. See, that's the other thing. The Ravens are going to make the postseason regardless. Bengals are making the postseason regardless. New England needs to win or they're not in.
Right.
New England needs this game. So.
Yeah. 2 more things for me. Sorry. Longest winning streak in franchise history.
Hey, Jake,
turn it up. You got low again.
Go back to red again.
It's 8, not 9.
Okay.
They started 8-0, and then the 70s they also went 8 straight. So if they make the divisional round, longest winning streak in franchise history. And also we talked about it a little bit before we recorded. No disrespect to the situation. I know it's hard. It's going to be hard for the NFL to make a decision, but it's going to be really challenging for whatever result comes of this for the Bengals to not be the donkey at the end of this and be the one who gets screwed the most. That's just how it's going to end up being.
Well, we are not going to have a shot. If they're not playing the game, we do not have a shot at the 1 seed. It's that simple. So that's what it cost us.
The bigger deal for me, because we know we can go to KC and win. We've seen it. We know we can beat them. And we beat them this year. The Bills beat them this year. But the biggest thing is, 1, unfortunately, the Bengals couldn't finish the home game against the Bills. And 2, they're going to have to go there for no reason, really. And that's what's the unfortunate part, which is why I think the fairest way is to play that game at a neutral site. Do whatever you want with the AFC title game. If the Chiefs win, yes, the Bills probably arguably got screwed out of the 1 seed. But if the Chiefs win, Bengals fans, we can all chill about the 1 seed because if the Chiefs win, that would have eliminated the Bengals.
Yeah.
Right.
The 1 seed, that's fine, which I do expect the Chiefs to win as a 10-point favorite against Vegas. But my big spiel is having to go to Orchard Park. That terrifies me.
Right. Well, I think that the only fair way to do it would be and hopefully they come up with this, is that the AFC Championship game is played in Indianapolis or something. Pick a neutral field. The only reason I pick Indianapolis is because it's used for the combine, and it seems to be a facility that can handle the event. It's geared up for it. The NFL seems to like it. So just move the game to a neutral field.
But you take the elements out of the equation, and these are both cold weather teams. Jake's dad made a comment that maybe it's the horseshoe, because that was about halfway. But I don't think that was accurate in terms of distance. But neither here nor there. That would maybe something they're trying to figure out is how do you can't penalize the Bengals or the Bills for what took place. So it's how do we make it as fair as possible and not disrupt everything? And that might be it. A neutral site may be the best way to do it. Yeah,
just say it from the beginning. These are the seedings, and when they get to the AFC Championship, this is where it's going to be played. That's it. So, go ahead.
Funny enough, there's a lot of memes going around about the Colts and all these banners that they have at Lucas Oil Stadium. There's one for like an AFC finalist, and I think there might even be one for a divisional runner-up finish. And now they can host a banner for hosting the AFC Championship game, and now they haven't played in it.
You got low again on your volume.
They can hoist another banner.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, usually we preview the game. We don't know enough about this game. If the Bengals play their starters because we have an incentive that we can get to the 2 and we end up playing our starters, I just don't see us losing this game. It's in Cincinnati, all the emotion. These guys are all pent up. I mean, they were fired up to play the Bills. All that is they're like a soda can that's been shook up, and you're going to pull the cord. If we come out there and we need this game, I just don't see us losing to Baltimore, especially now that we know Lamar Jackson's not playing. So
I don't want to. I don't mind trying to go down a tangent. I do occasionally do that. Lamar Jackson may never play for the Baltimore Ravens again.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. But like I said, if we need this game and we play all our starters, I just see this as a game. J.K. Dobbs is the only one that's really shown anything on offense. This is a team that can't put up 14 points. So like I said, that's my take on the game. But we just don't have enough information as to who's going to start. The only person on the Bengals injury report is Sam Hubbard. That's the only person on the Bengals injury report. Did not practice. I checked the injury report today. So
yeah, you talked about, you mentioned not scoring 14 points, maybe as a joke or a meme, but I believe it.
Turn your volume.
Once in their last 7 games, they've scored 17 or more points.
Yeah,
just once. It's there's just not many threats. They don't have any good players on offense, and when Lamar's not there. Lamar, like way too many times in the past, has been their only good player. And when he's not there and Dobbins is hurt and Bateman's not playing, Duvernay's out, there's no good players on the offense. We don't really, there's no really a real comparison. Like Houston has a couple of good players on offense. Like, are we really scared of Ronnie Stanley? He can't score points.
No.
One of the things also, not that has anything to do with this game, but I just want to make a side note because we're all sports fans. Justin Fields, it could very well break the all-time quarterback rushing record this weekend set by Lamar Jackson. So it's just another interesting tidbit in our sports thing that had nothing to do with the Bengals, of course.
Well, he got ruled out. He's not even playing.
I didn't see
him break the record. Yeah, it's going to be Peterman. They're not even going to let him break the record.
Okay. Listen.
I didn't see that. Oh, well. As a diehard Buckeye fan, I was hoping to see something good because that New Year's Eve game still is crushing my heart.
Yeah. Well, hey, I got to say, and this is a complete tangent, those were 2 of the best college football games that usually this weekend is a bunch of duds. They're 2 lopsided games. Both games were unbelievable. They were incredible games.
I was hoping for a rematch here in my backyard in Los Angeles, obviously, against the team up north, as we call them, as you very well know, Bengal fans. All right, well, I know Mark said he wasn't going to predict a game score, but you know what? We got to go with it. Let's just assume they're going to play the game normally. What do you got, Mark?
Oh, if we play this game normally, I'm going to go like 31-10. Something like that. I see us score. Like I said, I see us putting this game away early. I think we go in with a huge lead at half. I think it's like a New England first half game. That kind of, we come out with that kind of firepower.
A wrinkle for this game, it's interesting because we don't know if Baltimore needs to try, if they're going to want to try, because we could play them again. And this happened in 2018.
Yes.
The Bears and the Vikings played in week 17. And if I forget who won, who needed to win, obviously the Bears lost the next week. The Vikings were win and in, I believe. And if they won, they would have played the Bears the next week. So I was questioning whether the Bears should play their starters or not. And my memory on this is really fucked up, but they didn't end up playing. But we could see that same situation where some type of combination happens where the Bengals show their hand and then they play the next week and it could screw them, especially maybe the Ravens beat them. Really hard to beat a team 3 times, so there's just a lot of wrinkles that could happen.
Yeah.
But the Ravens are a really good team. They're one of the 8 or 9 best teams in the league. Without Lamar, they're probably a league average team, but I think we're disrespecting them a little too much. They are the Ratbirds, and we don't like them. But they do have, I think, to be when healthy, the second best defense in football.
Yes.
With Roquan Smith, who they acquired from Chicago in October, and then getting Bowser back from injury, getting Campbell back from injury. Marlon Humphrey's fully healthy. Not great edge play, but they go pretty deep on the defensive line. Always a good secondary with the rookie now, Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Peters and Marcus Williams. Very, very good defense. one of the best, probably the best defense Burrow has faced this year, because they're a lot better than what they were in week 5 when they played, and that defense shut this offense down.
Yeah, that, the acquisition of Roquan Smith, either he's a 1-year rental or Lamar Jackson's going to another team, because they can't give Roquan Smith the contract he wants and give Lamar Jackson the contract he wants. That's just not going to happen. So it's
well, I think the only scenario where Lamar's a Raven next year is if they tag him, because if they haven't extended him yet, they're not going to.
right.
And not this year. I mean, well, look, the Ravens are a really smart organization. This says a lot about both them and Lamar, about what this whole thing has been the last 2 years. Because, with Zeke, with Dak, countless players who have not held out, but their contract situations has gotten all the media attention in season, off season. They all have gotten extensions for more money than we expected. Lamar's the only one that hasn't, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be extended by the Ravens. He wants to test free agency because he thinks that he can get more money when 31 other teams are bidding on him. And I know 31 teams are not going to be bidding on him, but when the entire league is bidding on him, and he's right, that's normally how it works. You're normally going to get more money when teams are outbidding each other instead of just the incumbent team kind of holding the leverage, which is kind of what we see in baseball all the time before players have their 6th year of service time and are eligible to hit free agency.
So what do you got here for us, Jake? And tell us where they can find you.
Yeah, 27-17 Bengals. I 24-17 Bengals. I'll give more respect to the Ravens defense. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at Jake Circus, and then Jake Circus Podcast on Spotify. Season 3 is going to start in the spring after Super Bowl with some draft coverage, college basketball, baseball, all the stuff when football's not going on, and then once summer comes around, we'll preview football and all that stuff. It's gonna be quick. The off season's always goes by quick, but I'm excited for that, and we still got a full month of really good and exciting football coming up.
Yeah, no, we've got.
I started to look at my flights. I've got business in Phoenix for that weekend, so
I'll see you guys there.
You're gonna be there?
If they're there, I'm there.
Well, I'm going in no matter who's playing, but I mean I've already got to book it. But hey, if you're there, look me up.
Oh yeah, no, it's like I said, it's a 45-minute flight out of Burbank to Sky Harbor. Used to do it all the time when I was a sales rep and I covered Utah and Arizona. So piece of cake, I'm there definitely. I could just fly in that morning and fly out that night, and see the game. So I'm absolutely there. If you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It's all we ask. This is a show by fans, for fans. We don't ask for any Patreon money. We just ask for you to subscribe, and please hit the thumbs up. Help us out with the algorithm over at YouTube. It definitely helps us on the suggestions. So please do that. And Jake, we'll be doing a combine show. We got lots of stuff after the season. So don't worry. We will be back with a recap, and I'm going to refresh one more time. I've had my iPad here to see if ESPN had any news about the competition committee vote. And as of 4:50 Pacific time, which is 7:50 Eastern, there's still no news. So
they very well could be trying to figure out how to do the neutral site too.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. People will talk. There was a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk about let's move the Super Bowl out a week. There's hotels, and that's not plausible. So
this is why, as I've grown up, I've liked to stay away from responding to random people on Twitter who think the solution is just one click of a button, and it's really not, because logistics in life exist and they're like an actual thing, and you need to like plan for things, because this is a billion-dollar organization that can't just go off of what a random Twitter user suggests. So
right.
This is like a decision that understandably has taken all week, while waiting for the life update of a young man. Again, understandably so, is a ruling that is going to take a long time to sort out. Just
Right.
it's not an easy solution. And they're dealing with billion-dollar franchises who are going to get screwed because of the unfortunate events that happen. But, you know, they don't really seem to matter because, again, of what happened on Monday.
Yeah. And thank God, let's be frank. Thank God we had some positive news today.
Of course, absolutely.
Whatever decision they end up making will be much more appealing with him on a recovery as opposed to no information or on a decline. So that's it.
The one conversation that I had Monday, I was so closed off. I had no reaction. I didn't even speak. I was like sitting on my bed, just watching Scott Van Pelton and Ryan Clark, and
they did a great job.
Yes,
they did a phenomenal job. The whole ESPN crew, Buck, Aikman, Booger, Schefter, everybody on SportsCenter did a great job. But the one conversation I did have was no matter what happens, football will be played, but there's a chance that this man's life could end, you know, and we have to put it in that perspective. And thankfully it's looking like the latter is not going to happen. And he is going to make a recovery, thank goodness. And we are seeing better news. But when you put it in that type of perspective, just thinking about a football game matters so glim.
I'll tell you something. No one's talking about it because it's way too early, obviously. But I've been around enough athletes all my life playing college sports and being around professionals. And a lot of times, this kid will be on the field for the start of camp next year if he has any say in it.
Yeah. Well,
it's just the way these guys are wired. God willing, I hope to see him on that field again. Like you said, it was a fluke accident. Hopefully there's no damage. He'll make a decision to be back out there, is my suspicion, but we'll see. But thank God he's doing well.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll be back with the recap, whatever game, however we play it on Sunday, you know, we'll be back. Jake, I don't know if you're going to be available, but Heath and I will do. Love to have the three of us together, you know, a Sunday after the game. So I'll include you on the Zoom link and we'll put up our recap right after the game on Sunday. And then we'll get ready for the postseason, because the one thing we do know is all the teams involved here, they're all going to the postseason.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Bills, the Bengals, the Ravens. I mean, we're all going to the postseason. So this is just a matter of seeding, and I really like the neutral field thing for the AFC Championship. I think that's the only fair way to do it, and not give anybody the ones, you know, the home field for the championship. That's all.
And you know, another part of it, sorry that we're about to end, but both these teams beat the Chiefs. Now I know they both beat them at home, but you know, Chiefs did. They're not also the defending conference champions. It's like, you know, it's like, it sucks because
so many
lost to both these. Keep going all day long.
Think about this. Think about this. Zach's coach of the year, you know, took a hit. Burrow, if he had beat Mahomes and Allen in big games, he makes a statement about being MVP. I mean, there's a lot of ramifications that ripple through it. It is what it is.
I'll say one last thing before we end. If you think we're going on a tangent, how do you think the people who get paid to make these decisions for $1 billion organization are feeling in the last 2 hours since that meeting started with the competition committee? How do you think they're feeling?
Oh, it's like I said, there's so many layers to this that, and there's ticket money and how is that refunded? It's just, there's so many, and the gambling aspect to it. You know, there's so many, said,
that's $1 trillion organization.
Right. Yeah. No.
$1 trillion industry.
And don't think they don't have a say in it either. So
there you go. Absolutely.
So, but all right, well,
all right, boys, let's get another W and let's keep this. Let's just keep this train rolling.
All right, so please join us for the recap right after the game Sunday. It's a morning start, and I'm going to say, "Hoo day, everybody!
Hoo day!
Hoo day! Take care.
Hoo day."